Nice. A little warmer today.
Hot today. Wow.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Watchful Citizen, a local cable access program brought to you by the Lancaster County Democratic Party. My name is Benny Shobe and I'm your host. Today we have as a guest Lincoln City Councilman Carl Eskridge. Eskridge, let me get that correctly. Carl, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Benny. Good to be with you.
Thank you for joining us. You're a city council person, and we have lots of people that talk about city council, and we assume that as a city council person, you go to a meeting once a week, and that's all you do. Tell us a little bit about being a city councilman in Lincoln.
All right. Well, it starts on Thursday, I could say. Every Thursday we get our packets, and so the packet is all the new resolutions that are being, and ordinances that are being introduced the following Monday. And so, you know, that's kind of, we start our homework then on Thursday night, and I usually spend a day, Saturday or Sunday, reading through things as they come through first time. And then, of course, we meet Monday. Those things aren't discussed Monday. The things that we have on Monday are second readings, so they're things that we got the previous week. But you just have to do your homework and be ready for what happens for every council meeting. But even before we have our council meetings on Monday, we have something called a directors meeting, where council members meet with the directors of all the city agencies. And if we have particular issues or needs from the city, then we take those to directors and try to get them resolved there. We also have an organizational meeting where all city council members are on a lot of different committees and boards, and so each one of us reports back to the whole council about the activities in those boards. And then we have the city council meeting, and every other council meeting we have something called open mic, where anyone who has an issue relative to about anything in the world can come and talk to the council about it, and those are always interesting. But then the rest of the week, incredible number of opportunities to meet with people, organizational meetings. You know, one thing you learn being on council is our city is blessed with an incredible number of volunteer organizations that, you know, deal with, you know, everything from pets to children to, you know, your neighborhood to parks and trails, and you know, whatever it is, there are just an incredible number of people that are working on things in this community, making it better. So you're invited to go to a lot of different events for those groups, and I'm happy to. Want to encourage the people, the good work they're doing, learn more about what they're doing. I guess one of the other things is constituent issues. We have 4 council members, and I'm one of those, who represent districts. And so if you've got an issue in your district, you're more apt probably to call the council person who represents you geographically. And so I think all 4 of us probably get a number of those kinds of issues, and I think we have a lot of responsibility to contact the different city departments and try to do what we can to resolve them.
Wow, that's a lot. Wow. So I assumed it was just a meeting once a week and you got to read some things. Let's talk a little bit about the district aspect. You mentioned that there are 4 districts in the city. Yours is the Northwest District? District 4, is that correct?
That's right. And the lines aren't very straight, and the reason for that is, well, a couple different reasons. The population isn't quite evenly divided. If you were to go, say, down O Street and 27th Street, it wouldn't match up that way. So we have to balance it out population-wise. That's a constitutional issue, actually.
Yes.
And every year there's redistricting because of the census. And this last time when we redistricted, we really tried to start with District 2, which is Northeast Lincoln. And the reason we did that was because, you know, historically Northeast Lincoln has been, you know, made up of really, really strong neighborhoods.
Yes.
And they're kind of a very distinct part of our city. And so we wanted to honor that. And unfortunately, that area had lost population relative to the other sections of the city. Oh. So we had to kind of
twist the axis
that area a little bit to cover some of my area. But so District 4, which is Northwest, goes essentially from Lincoln High,
okay,
north and west. So it covers all of downtown. It covers places like Capitol Beach and Air Park and Fallbrook and Highlands, and then all the core downtown area, University. So it's a big, big area.
Wow, it is. Yeah, I understand what you're saying about the census changing and how it's not a perfect square grid anymore. It's kind of a twisted a little bit.
And some of that also is because of the voting precincts and how the
lines are drawn.
Commissioner has drawn those lines, right?
Going back to that, it's almost a 365-day-a-year job as a city council person. Would you tell us some of the here, I'm going to ask the question differently. There are 7 city council people. All of them serve on committees outside of the city council. Is that meetings? Is that correct?
That's right.
On average, how many committees does a city council person serve on?
I would say probably on average 3 to 4.
And could you tell us which ones that you like serving on, or which ones you do serve on? Are there fun ones and not fun ones?
Well, we have one committee of city council, actually, and that's the Internal Liquor Committee. And 3 of us serve on that committee. And it involves kind of overseeing some liquor issues that are going on in the community. And it's really a fascinating committee. It's a very active committee. And there are only 3 of us on council on the committee, but we also have a large number of other people that are there with us, including people from law enforcement, both with the city and with the university. We have Cornhusker Place Detox represented. It's really kind of a fascinating group to talk about drug and alcohol issues in the community. So that's great. I like that a lot. Got some background in that area. I just volunteered for one. There's an economic development task force that's working with the air park, working in conjunction with the airport board, and I'm really happy to be doing that because I think that's a really important economic issue for our community, and looking at attracting new large employers out there for the good of our economy and city. So that's a fun one. There's a roads one.
Roads. Yeah. That's a hot button for everybody, right?
And that's a big one because the chair and vice chair of council get to sit on that one. And I say get to because that means we meet with also the chair and vice chair of the county board, as well as the mayor, and also a representative from the Department of Roads. And we talk about all the major roads issues that are coming up in the community and really try to move things forward like the South Beltway.
So you mentioned that you volunteered for a board,
yeah,
and you're excited about it, and the issue was economic development with the airport authority.
Yes.
Let's talk about the economy of Lincoln. Probably the biggest thing on the horizon now is on the western horizon, and that's the new arena complex. What's that going to do for the economy of Lincoln?
Well, it's already done a great thing for the economy of Lincoln. You know, the numbers of employees who have been working on building that arena has been phenomenal, and the vast majority of them have been local people. So it's been a tremendous boon for employment in our city, particularly people in construction and trades. So that's a great thing. And you know, while the arena is built and the ribbon cutting will actually be this week, there's a whole lot of other things that are going to be happening in the West Haymarket. So there will continue to be a lot of construction, a lot of people working down there. So that's a great thing to see. You know, there are going to be other things happening. The West Haymarket is the new piece, but we're already poised to see some things happening, and I think it'll probably be called the South Haymarket, south of O Street, south of the Harris Overpass. That's probably going to be kind of the next exciting area. I think that will probably be a little more residential in nature. But,
wow.
You know, a whole new part of our city.
Still growing. So that's the next big thing on the horizon,
It
the
is.
South Haymarket.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I had not heard that. That's wonderful to hear. Let's talk a little bit there was a news story recently about the restaurants, entertainment businesses, and other long-term residents of the Haymarket. Has there been any studies, or do you have any indication of what will happen to them when new industry, new entertainment's open? Is it going to be, yeah, there's always some concern, and that's one of those really tricky questions.
Well, the Internal Liquor Committee has been looking at the West Haymarket for well over a year, probably close to 2 years. And you know, we've intentionally wanted to make sure that the West Haymarket was not a duplication of conditions at 14th and O, for example.
Yes.
And so we've worked with the developers down there to put some things in place so that, you know, we think we've got, you know, controls on that so that, you know, we won't see that. It's incredible. I was counting up the number of restaurants, new restaurants, and they aren't all in the West Haymarket, but they're all in the Haymarket. And there's close to 20 new restaurants in the
20 new restaurants
that are opening, you know, will be open by October, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
It's
so
amazing. Yeah.
And I had made a count of existing already. I assume there were about 15 to 20 already existing.
Probably,
there. Yeah.
yeah.
So almost doubling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So that, yeah, so exciting. You know, the one piece that hasn't been done yet is retail. And in talking with the developers there, they said that's always the hardest piece because retailers, especially national retailers, want to see, you know, proof before they invest in an area. So they want to see things. They want to see that these restaurants are there, that people are attending them. They want to see people are living in the new apartments and condos that are going in. And when that traffic is seen, then there are a couple of areas for retail that hopefully we'll be filling in. That's something that downtown lacks a little bit. We need to see more retail back in downtown.
I'm one of those people that do frequent the Haymarket regularly, and I've noticed that parking has gotten better. Can you explain it to me? I know there's still garages going up, but there's a new surface lot in the, I guess, near South Haymarket area. Yeah. And I found it easier to find parking recently, and that just really, I was surprised by that.
Well, I'm glad you discovered that. Yeah. I don't know that everybody would share, but you got to know where to look.
Yes.
I mean, and that's key. We've got, well, there are 3 new parking garages that are opening very soon. And there are 2 more that are, you know, getting ready to rise out of the ground that will be open, you know, next spring, I think. So,
wow, yes.
So, yeah, we went on and did that. We went on these last 2 parking garages. We decided to go ahead and build those because it's a compact area, and getting construction in there and doing things is kind of tricky to stage. And it just seemed to be the time to do it now rather than later. Less problems for other people after they've been in there to go ahead and get that parking in place. So yeah, there may be a few people, especially this season, basketball games and things that might have a little struggle, but I think it'll be okay. And we've got a lot of surface parking down by the Sawdogs Dogs Park.
Yes.
And Haymarket Park. So, and the bridges that you can walk over to the Haymarket from there. So
I'm excited. Yes, I was down there on a Thursday for lunch and found a parking spot in less than a minute. And there were several empty around me. It was in the just off to the southwest of P Street. I was surprised. I was very shocked to find one. Yeah. I thought I'd be driving around for a few minutes and thought, wow, there are lots of parking here.
I knew you were coming, so we had this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That was very kind of you. Thank you very much. I want to go back and talk about a little bit more about you being a council person. Currently, you mentioned earlier that there's a committee that you, as the council president and the vice chair, sorry, is it president or chair?
Chair.
Yes, you as the chair of the council and the vice chair serve on. How did you become chair of the city council, and what is chair of city council?
The role of chair, well, the chair is determined. It's everybody. Most everybody gets an opportunity to be chair. It's not something that someone is chair for a long period of time. And it so happened for me that Adam Hornan was chair last year, and then Adam resigned about halfway through his term as chair. I was vice chair at the time, so I filled Adam's term, and then I was due to be chair, you know, for this year. So that's how that works for me.
So you got half a term from the previous chair, and then now you're in your full term as chair.
Right, right. And it passes around. You know, we try to, you know, let most everybody have that opportunity if we can.
Who's your current vice chair?
Doug Emery.
Doug Emery. And sticking with that line of questioning, you have 3 new city council people that came on board this spring, 3 new at-larges. How is things working out with the 3 new council people?
You know, we made a change last year. We went to a biennial budget, and And that has really been a good thing for the new council members, because typically our elections are in May.
Yes.
And then we are immediately into the budget, session. So there's a ton of stuff to read, a lot of meetings to go to, and decisions to make about issues that new council members may not quite be up to speed yet on. So and the way it's timed now is that the budget will be the year after city elections, and so that gives any new council person a year to really study it, to know what's going on, to see what their priorities, what their concerns are, where more money is needed, where less money should be spent, all those kinds of things. And so that works well, and I think the new council members really appreciate that. Yeah, I've enjoyed working with all three of my colleagues so far. They're all very different people, all have their own unique strengths, but yeah, they're good people.
I would like to, you keep mentioning things that I want to talk about. I want to talk about, you're midway through your term, your first term as a council person.
That's right.
Have things worked out the way you thought they would work out when you ran for the office?
When I ran, I did a lot of homework. I really, kind of deliberated a lot about, should I do this, shouldn't I do this, and talked to a lot of people, talked to, some current council members, talked to different city departments, of course, talked to my family, yes. Talked to my boss, and just to see, how it would work and try to get an understanding of the amount of time and energy it took. It has not disappointed. I would estimate that in a typical week, it's about a 20-hour job.
20,
so
wow.
Like a half-time
so it's a part-time job. It is.
Yeah. And if I were to be completely honest, it might be more than that.
Probably more. You said you did attend events, and you're invited to a lot of things at City Council.
And those are optional. Yeah, you don't have to go to all those, but it's just important to me.
I do understand. The other thing you mentioned I'd like to talk about a little bit is the budget, the biennial budget. You mentioned that that's good for new City Council people because it gives them a year to get up to speed.
Yes.
So you are working on budget ideas now, and when is the next budget due?
We actually tomorrow we're voting on some adjustments to the current year's budget, and if we were to flash forward a year, then tomorrow we would be approving the budget for that year. So yeah, we're looking to see what things, how departments have done this year and half of their budget cycle, and then anticipating what changes are needed. Yeah.
So my follow-up question: what are the advantages of the 2-year budget, and are we currently on track? Are things where they think we should be?
I think it's worked really well. We've had, on the revenue side, we were a little short on our sales tax income. Okay. But we were a little ahead on our property tax income. In fact, more ahead on our property tax than we were behind. So we've come out on our revenue side positively, and that's allowing us to put some money into the police and fire pension fund, which is a big issue, not only for our city, but virtually all cities.
Virtually all cities, I agree, yeah. Well, that sounds great. Another thing you mentioned, we talked about, is the events. You as a city council person do this part-time 20-plus hour a week job, and that plus is when you go out into the community. You represent District 4, but you take advantage of the opportunity to interact in our community all over.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so how do people reach out to you? I know they see you in the public. I see you out in the public. Yeah. How do you hear from your constituents? What's the best method, or what's the most commonly used method?
The most commonly used and probably the best method is email, because that gives me a record of what the issue is. And for example, if there's a road problem, I can simply forward that email to somebody in the public works area, and they can deal with it and get back to me. So that's the most efficient way. Yeah. Some people will call, and my cell number is available, and so I get those calls periodically. Don't get a whole lot of written letters anymore.
Really?
Some of those we get in the council office, but yeah, it's most often email.
I know that the city council meets every Monday.
Every Monday with, you know, we get holidays, so there are probably 6 or 7 Mondays where we don't meet.
Yeah, and you do one late night Monday per month.
That's correct.
And there's an open mic portion of every meeting? Is that?
Every other meeting, twice a month.
Twice a month. What have you heard at those open mics that you actually had a good idea that actually made the city look better? Or were there ideas that came from those open mic sessions that you embraced?
You know, that's a good question. Because a lot of times there aren't awful things, but here about
it mostly sounds like
5 months ago or something, last winter, we heard from a gentleman whose name is Clip Higgins, and he is a retired UCC pastor, Congregationalist pastor, and he came one night and spoke to us. And his concern was about the lousy street conditions around the city mission. He was very bothered by the fact that those roads were unpaved, that the residents of the mission and the volunteers that helped out there had to deal with the mess on the roads. And he was especially concerned about kids that had to, you know, get out and walk through the mud to get on the school bus, and just maybe even some stigma that might go on those kids as they, you know, have mud on their shoes and go to school, and how kids might look at them. So he brought that issue to us, and then because of that, some other people picked up on it, and ended up that we worked with the city mission and with some others, and have developed a paving plan so that area is going to be paved.
Wow, that's usually I do attend a few occasional city council meetings and watch them on television, on cable access, and it appears as though those are mostly like Seinfeld's airing of grievances session. It's good to hear that something positive came out of that.
Yeah, that was great.
So we have a few minutes left. I'd like to ask you a few questions about what are your plans as a city council? What would you like to see the city do more? What's on the horizon that you can tell us about?
Well,
you mentioned the South Haymarket.
The South Haymarket. There,
and
the whole downtown area, you know, so many things have happened there. The West Haymarket has, you know, all of that new stuff.
Yeah.
The Antelope Valley project.
Yes.
And the change that has made and is making already, and in the Malone area and in the around the campus, and kind of in between Antelope Creek and the campus, all those things, you know, we've got kind of these big pieces in place, so now it's just going to be filling in and tweaking things to make it better. So I don't think we're going to see maybe as big and splashy of kinds of things, but it's going to be, I really think it's going to be good stuff. Some of the vacant lots we've seen, some of the old buildings that maybe haven't been cared for as well, we're going to see some new exciting kinds of things.
Yeah, I know I was driving around the Haymarket area, and the Big X, when it got finished, I thought that was great, so what are we going to do with that? But now you can follow that all the way into the new Haymarket Arena area and out. There are a couple of roundabouts there, which I found pretty easy to navigate, but that seems to be an issue in the city.
Yeah.
You want to tell us a little bit about roundabouts, or would you?
Well, obviously the most controversial roundabout is 14th and Superior, and is in my district. Actually, Doug Emery's district now comes into a corner of that too. But yeah, when that was being built, I was right after I was elected, and went to meetings about it, and residents were very concerned about it. Met with engineers, city engineers who live in the area, and they were absolutely convinced that the roundabout was the most efficient and safest intersection for that neighborhood. And I drive it, you know, a few times a week, and it's incredibly fast. I mean,
I'm concerned it's a little too fast. Am I being alarmist?
I just mean fast in terms of not having to stop at the stoplight.
Yes. Because
you always had to stop at that stoplight, and sometimes if traffic was bad, you might have to be there 2 or 3 changes. Don't have that anymore. You're through.
In and out, yes.
Yeah. So there was a consultant who was here to look at it, and haven't seen the report back on what his findings are, but hopefully he comes up with some ideas that will make it safer. It's I've heard, reports of people doing crazy things of, they'll get up to it and kind of freak and stop. Or I've heard of people going the wrong way,
Oh my.
Instead of going, like if they wanted to turn left, instead of going three-quarters of the way around it, they'd say, well, just go left, and that doesn't work so well.
Yeah, that doesn't work so well, no. I know that we've had great success with the one at 33rd and Sheridan. That seems to be working well. And the two that are now in the Haymarket, I see no real... I'm concerned with the speed of other drivers going through them. Those are the only issues that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
They're posted at low speeds, but...
Well, football season's always a big thing in Nebraska, and plus it's harvest season, and this will be the first fall that roundabout is open, so hopefully it works well.
Well, I'm enjoying this conversation. I've asked you many of the questions I wanted to. Is there something I didn't ask you you'd like to tell me or the viewers?
Well, yesterday we celebrated the 50th anniversary of Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech. And we were there.
Yes, I would.
And it was just a great day. And I grew up in North Carolina. You grew up in Kentucky.
I grew up in southern Kentucky, yes.
And I just, was thinking about, 50 years ago and what that was like, and just how things were so confusing to me growing up, and things happening that made no sense to me. And of course, I was too young to really understand it, but just things like our minor league baseball team.
Yes.
They were called the Charlotte Hornets at the time, a AA team for the Twins. And the African Americans sat in left field bleachers, and we went to games. A lot of times on Sunday after church, we'd go to a game. You can imagine how hot that would be.
Yes.
Summertime, noontime game, and I could just, and there was no shade in left field.
Okay, that's a little warmer.
and I just thought, that image really has stuck with me for a long time. And so, just seeing the progress that has been made is really helpful. And we're not done.
We're not done yet.
Done by a long
you and I have talked about this before. Yes, we have made wonderful strides forward, but we're not quite finished.
Yeah. And it comes out in different ways.
Yeah.
It's not all racial.
No, I think a lot of it is social class.
Yeah.
And there's some other issues. I know what you're saying, and I feel the same thing. I was there with you at the celebration on Saturday, and I have lots of mixed emotions about it. I'm thrilled, and I'm also sad at the same time, but I'm more optimistic than anything else.
A lot of times there's kind of shared tradition from the Jewish tradition.
Yes.
And the Exodus and those kinds of images. And when the Jews went to the Promised Land, it wasn't just given to them.
Yeah.
They had first they wandered around for a long time.
For a while, yeah. They had some time out period.
But even when they got there, there's probably a little work to do.
Yes.
And so, and I liken that to what we've got going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work we need to do to make this land indeed the promised land that we would hope it to be.
I agree. I'm sorry we're out of time right now. We'll have to continue this conversation. I hope you'll come back and join us again.
I would love
We'll talk
to.
more about the city and more about where our society is going.
Very good.
My name is Benny Shobe, and you've been watching The Watchful Citizen. Our guest today has been City Councilman Carl Eskridge. Carl, thank you again for showing up. Our show will re-air on Time Warner Cable Channel 13 on Tuesday nights at 10:30, Wednesdays at 6 p.m., and Saturdays at 12:30. We hope you'll catch our next episode and keep watching The Watchful Citizen, a program brought to you by the Lancaster County Democratic Party. Thank you.